When most people think of a car show, they imagine shiny, beautiful vehicles that any collector would be proud to show off. But Winnipeg's first ever Indigenous car show also celebrated the reliable rust buckets that always start and get people from A to B. The car show was held Sunday at Don's Auto Repair. And at the show, muscle cars and classic vehicles were invited to park alongside Rez Rockets and so called Indian cars. CBC's Sundance Horschig went there to learn more.
My name's Sky McLean from Nisichawasik Cree Nation, but I grew up in Winnipeg. I think that first and foremost, it's a lovely idea to have things in the community. We love North End, Point Douglas-based events, and I think it's super important to have that representation because Native people love cars. You know, we always have trucks.
And some of the categories that we have here today are Rez Rocket and Indian Car. What do those names mean to Indigenous people?
Rez Rockets get you where you need to be, and they are reliable and they are falling apart. I think it's an awesome category. I've been excited for it since this morning, and yeah, it's duly needed for sure.
You know, that Rez Rocket is like all of ours first car. You know, my first car I bought for I think $350, and I drove it everywhere, did everything with it, no matter if the bumper covers flapping in the wind or the fenders were flapping, whatever. You know, you drove that thing like you drove it everywhere, and it went through every type of terrain. Even though it's not four-wheel drive, you drove it like it was a four-wheel drive, but it got you from point A to point B. And you just drove it fast. You knew if it was going to die, at least the momentum would keep it going. It's like our horse, right? Takes us everywhere. It takes us to all those powwows, gets us out to go home, visit our families.
Do you have any fond memories of riding in a Rez Rocket or an Indian car?
My cousin up north, she actually has an Indian bus. It's like a giant RV. She got a really good deal on it, and we took it to Nelson House. And if you know Nelson House, the road to Nelson House is crazy. So we're in this bus, bouncing up and down in this Rez bus, and it was the talk of the powwow that weekend because it's so big and clunky.
Yeah, I had Chevy S10, and I loved that thing. It was a manual too, so it was like, you know, you shifted. Everything was metal. There was no plastic on there, eh? You know, it didn't have air conditioning either, but the holes in the floors kept a nice breeze coming through, and I love that thing. And I tell you, I could pull my camper 140 going down Route 44 there.
Why do you think it is important to have Indigenous representation like this at a car show?
I think it's important to include categories like Rez Rocket because a lot of families have Rez Rockets. A lot of us have cars that are resi, and you know, it's relatable.
That was Sundance Horschig at Winnipeg's first ever Indigenous car show.